It's the 9th of November, past 11 o'clock, the eve of Dorian's 38th birthday. Dorian and Basil are settling in the library of Dorian's home. Wood is burning in the large open hearth, several lamps lit throughout the room. Basil makes himself comfortable, glancing around while Dorian makes his way to the center of the room, not quite tense, but seemingly wary of what Basil wishes to speak to him about.
Your servant was very welcoming earlier, Dorian. He offered me everything I asked for. A most hospitable man indeed. He's quite a lot nicer than that Frenchman you've previously had. What's happened to him, by the way?
Married himself off to Lady Radley's maid, I believe. Had her established as a dressmaker in Paris. Very fashionable, I hear. I never liked him, to be honest, but he wasn't that bad at his job. He was very devoted to me and seemed sad to leave. Anyways, how about a brandy and soda? Maybe a Hawk and Seltzer?
Oh, I'm all right, thanks. But I did actually want to talk seriously. Come on, don't frown like that, dear. You're making this so much more difficult for me.
What? What is it? Don't tell me it's about me. I'm honestly quite tired of myself tonight. It would be nice to be someone else.
It is about you. And I have to say it to you. It won't take long. Half an hour, I promise.
Half an hour, you say?
I don't think I'm asking too much of you, Dorian. And I'm saying this entirely for your sake. Dorian, you should know what people are saying about you. Here in London, I just can't...
I don't want to hear about them. I love a good scandal, just like anyone else. But if it's not about me, there's just no charm there at all.
Every gentleman should be interested in his own integrity, Dorian. How can you be okay with people degrading you like this? You have your wealth and beauty and all of that, but that's not all there is to a person. You know, I don't believe a single word they say. I can't believe it. A man couldn't hide such awful actions. Dorian, someone approached me last year to commission me for a portrait, but I just couldn't do it. No matter how much money he offered me, there was just something about him and I hated it. And it would have shown in my work. I didn't know it back then, but eventually, after all I heard about him, my intuition was right. But Dorian, you, with all your beauty and youth and innocence, I just couldn't believe what anyone said against you. People are avoiding you and saying the most terrible things about you. Why have so many of your friends abandoned you? Why?
Basil, stop it. You don't know what you're talking about. What kind of lives do you think those people lead anyway? You forget that we live in a society full of hypocrites.
Dorian, that's not what I'm concerned about. England is awful, I know, and the people here even more so. They're all wrong. That's why I want you to be fine. And clearly, you haven't been fine lately. The way you've affected all your friends speaks a lot about yourself. And they've lost all sense of honor and goodness. You led them there. And yet, here you are, able to smile and be at ease despite all of it.
Basil, you're going too far.
I just want you to lead a life that would make people respect you. I want your name to be clean, and for all these terrible people to not be a part of your life anymore. Don't shrug your shoulders like that. How can you be so careless? Let your influence be for good, Dorian. Please. When people tell me the worst about you, I can only tell them that they're being insane. That I know you so well and you could never do such things. Do I really know you? I'd have to see your soul itself to ever answer that, Dorian.
My soul?
Yes, but only God can do that.
You can see it for yourself right now. It's your own work after all. Why wouldn't you be able to look at it? Come on, I think you've said enough about my corruption. You'll see what you believe only God can see.
You can't be serious. I don't believe them. They're all lying. They must be.
You think so?
I know so. Everything I've said tonight was for your sake. As your friend...
Don't touch me! Say what you have to say.
Pain shoots through Basil's chest at his words, and he turns to the fireplace, stunned into silence.
I'm waiting, Basil.
I need an answer to all of this, Dorian. Tell me everything they said about you isn't true. Deny them, please. All I need is for you to say the word and I'll believe you. God, Can't you see how much this is killing me? Just tell me you aren't as evil as they say you are.
Come with me, Basil. I keep a diary of all my day-to-day feelings. I'll show it to you if you come with me.
I will come with you if that's what you want. I think I've missed my train, but that doesn't matter to me right now. Just be direct with me.
I'll give you your answers upstairs. Won't take long at all.
Dorian begins to climb the stairs outside of the library, Basil following close behind. Their feet tread softly, the only audible sounds coming from the wind rattling the windows. Dorian gently sets the key into the lock of the door, turning it quietly in place.
You're sure you want to know, Basil?
I'm sure.
Wonderful. You are the one man in the world who deserves to know everything about me. You've changed my life more than you think. Shut the door behind you.
Basil glances around the room, confusion written clear on his face. Dorian lit a half-burned candle close to the heavy drapes in front of him, illuminating the sheen of dust that sat atop every surface in the room.
You think God is the only one who can see a person's soul? All you need to do is pull back that curtain and you'll see mine.
This isn't like you, Dorian.
Getting cold feet now, Basil. Fine, I'll do it myself.
The portrait of Dorian that stared back at Basil seemed to wither like crumpled-up paper. The expression pulled taut on his decaying face, stirring up something gut-wrenching in Basil's chest. His beauty was so undeniably tarnished, and yet there was still gold in the matted hair, pink in the curve of his lips. It was Dorian, but it also wasn't. Dorian himself simply stood there, watching Basil with a sadistic flicker of triumph in his eyes.
What kind of sick joke is this?
Many years ago, when I was just a boy, you met me and flattered me, and you taught me to be vain, and Henry, your friend, cursed me with the knowledge of the power of youth, while your painting showed me the wonder of beauty. Thinking back now, I don't know if I regret it or not, but I made a wish. Or maybe a prayer, you could say.
I remember it, so please stop. This whole thing is impossible. There must have been something wrong with the paints I used, or something got into the canvas.
What's truly impossible, really?
I thought you'd gotten rid of it.
Quite the opposite, really. It's destroyed me.
I don't believe it. This isn't my work.
Can't you see yourself in it? Your ideal of me?
My ideal?
As you've said it yourself.
There was nothing this evil and shameful about my perception of you, Dorian. You're nothing like this to me.
This is my soul, as you wanted to see it for yourself.
Those are the eyes of the devil.
Everyone has a bit of heaven and hell in him, Basil.
My God! If this is truly a reflection of who you are, Dorian, could you be even worse than those people make you out to be? Pray, Dorian, please. How does it go again? Lead us not into temptation, forgive us our sins. Let's say it together, Dorian. If your wish of vanity was answered, then surely your prayer of forgiveness will be too. I adored you too much, and this is my punishment. We've both been punished.
It's too late, Basil.
It's never too late, Dorian. Let's just kneel if we can't remember how to pray.
There's no use. Those words would do nothing for me.
Don't say that, Dorian. Haven't you done enough? Look at that! That thing staring at us. You must try at least.
Enough, Basil. Enough of your pathetic sobbing and rambling. You think I don't realize all of that myself?
Basil hurriedly runs to the door in his attempt to escape Dorian's wrath. He knocks over a piece of antique, breaking the deafening silence that he was desperately trying to keep.
Ha! I heard you. You can't run away from me. You're the reason I'm in this mess. If it wasn't for your wretched painting, I wouldn't be like this.
Basil continues to hide quietly from Dorian as he slowly tiptoes his way around the shattered antique. He makes his way towards the front door and cautiously opens it.
Oh no.
There you are, Basil. Send the devil my regards, will you?
Basil runs for his life while Dorian chases him out of the door. Filled with fear and anxiousness, Basil excruciatingly descends the stairs, hoping to find salvation in another person. Darkness was caving in. A dim ray of moonlight guided poor Basil in his flee. Gazing far beyond the window, he sees a tiny figure passing by. He had hoped this person would notice them. To his despair, the person trod another path. Dorian was getting closer by the second.
Help! Help!
I've got you now.
Dorian, please, I beg of you. Please think this through. Have mercy on me. I love you, Dorian.
The last time I opened myself up to love, it left me with nothing but illusions and lies. Goodbye, old friend.
Basil abruptly shuts his eyes. At that moment, he reminisced the good times he and Dorian shared together, back when a childlike Dorian was as pure as a dove. At that moment, he knew there was nothing he could do but to admit defeat. Suddenly, Basil recalls a dreadful secret he swore he would never reveal to anyone. He dreaded the day Dorian discovers this tormenting secret of his, but telling Dorian was his last resort.
Before you kill me, I've kept a secret you ought to know. Please, please just listen to me.
You have 1 minute. Consider this my last act of service to you.
I'm a woman.
A beautiful woman with a face as white as snow and lips as red as wine stood before Dorian. The moon illuminated her turquoise eyes, which shone brighter than the stars. Dorian was enchanted by her beauty. He felt a rush of emotions he's never fathomed before, not even when he met Sybil. Basil's majestic figure resembled a goddess. She was mesmerizing, but Dorian couldn't let his guard down.
This can't be. You're tricking me. I'm not a fool who can be toyed with.
Dorian runs to retrieve the knife. Basil follows Dorian and hugs him from behind.
I'm terribly sorry. I didn't want you to hate me for lying. You're right. It's all my fault. The painting I created completely destroyed you. You're no longer the Dorian I used to know. You've become so obsessed with the idea of pleasure that you've forgotten who you truly are, causing everyone around you pain and misfortune. Please forgive me. Forgive me for everything.
The warmth of Basil's hug melts Dorian's heart. He slowly turns around to face Basil. The autumn breeze blew Basil's hair. Dorian can now see her entire face clearly. Seeing Basil's beauty up close left him speechless. Dorian and Basil gaze upon each other's eyes. For a moment, time stood still. Dorian caresses Basil's face and pulls her closer, and kisses her soft red lips.
I don't know what to say. My head's a mess. It's getting cold. Shall we carry on with our conversation in the library? I'd like to know more about this new Basil.
You aren't going to kill me, aren't you?
Not if you kill me first.
I would never. I'd rather die than kill my love.
Dorian and Basil are back in the library. They sit next to the fireplace as they learn more about each other's past. Dorian listens to Basil's story. For the first time, he was not only fascinated by her beauty, but was also intrigued by her eloquence. Listening to her voice was like a melody, and he didn't want her to stop. He became more and more entranced with her.
What made you conceal your identity?
Being a woman in today's society is harder than you think. Especially if you're an artist. You become the talk of the town. When I was young, I was always told to be a decent and obedient lady, like it was the only way to attract eligible bachelors for marriage. I had a burning desire to fulfill my dreams. So at only 16, I ran away from home. I stole pieces of valuable heirlooms from my parents' room to get by.
Go on.
Growing up, I learned that women are so looked down upon that people refuse to listen to us. Dreams simply couldn't exist. I wanted to find a place to help me become an artist. Despite the great works I submitted, many art academies still rejected me because I was a girl. One day, I painted a boy's mask and dressed up in male's clothing. I finally got accepted into a small country art school where I learned the arts and craft. I knew I had to bury womanhood in the grave so I could be the best artist.
You're the best artist I know. It brought me to life.
Your portrait was my magnum opus. I put my heart and soul into it because I love you with every fiber of my being. With every stroke of my brush, every swirl of color on the canvas, you consumed my thoughts entirely. That's why I was afraid to exhibit the portrait. I feared it would betray my disguise and destroy the reputation I've worked so hard to build.
But now, it's hideous. I'm a monster. All the lives I took, all the mistakes I made. I'm just a monster hiding behind the face of an angel. Every time I look at it, it reminds me of my vicious sins. I have to get rid of it.
Dorian grabs the knife from the floor and rushes upstairs, into the room where the portrait stands. Basil chases after him.
Wait! Dorian!
Dorian and Basil are in the old schoolroom. They look at the altered painting together.
Basil, let's destroy the painting and start over. I believe that once it's gone, I'll be set free from all my sins. We can go somewhere far away and live a happy life.
Oh, Dorian, I understand. It's no longer my masterpiece, but ours. We don't need a physical reminder of what beauty is. Beauty is within. It's the life you choose to live, the person you choose to be, and the people you choose to surround yourself with.
Dorian and Basil hold onto the knife together and tear into the painting. Suddenly, Dorian feels a stabbing pain in his chest. He lets go of the knife and collapses onto the floor.
My chest hurts so much.
Dorian puts his hand on his chest and sees blood dripping down.
Dorian!
Basil kneels onto the floor and wraps her arms around Dorian's frail body. More blood oozes out from Dorian's chest.
I can't breathe. Am I dying? Before I go, I need to apologize. I'm very sorry for tarnishing your beautiful masterpiece. I'll never deserve your love.
Dorian lays unconscious in Basil's arms. His head was a wilted rose.
No! Dorian, my love, without you, life is nothing. With one last kiss, I bid my love and my life goodbye. Let this night forever be a symbol of my love.